Hey family, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Crystal Clear Convos, and I am your host, Crystal Smith. Thank you so much for joining me for yet another episode. If you haven't done so already, please make sure that you like, comment, share, tag somebody. Let them know that Crystal Clear Convos is on. Here we have transparent conversations that inspire change, and I'm so excited to have my guest, Tim, the intentional millionaire, joining me today. He has some very, very helpful information and knowledge for us. So if you don't have your pen and paper, go grab it. We'll give you a second to get ready. This is part 2. Last week, we already discussed his whole bio, his background, how he went from being broke, straight out of college, working in the workforce, trying to figure things out and navigate this thing called life and the finances that are required to live, and how he has been able to since build $1 million portfolio. And I'm so excited to have him on the show again today. So thank you so much, Tim, for joining us. We're actually going to jump right back into it. On our last show, we were discussing your transition from the workforce into becoming an entrepreneur, and you were sharing that with us. So feel free to take it away. Let's get back into it.
Yes, thank you again, Crystal, and welcome everyone that's tuning in. We're just going to continue the conversation because your question was, so how did I make that transition? And in the last episode, I was talking about, the first thing I was focused on was getting obsessed with getting out of debt. And doing that process, because I realized that it's hard to invest when you owe everybody else money.
Right.
So after I got out of debt, the next thing I was able to do was I started me a Roth IRA. That was my first investment, a Roth IRA. And the reason why that was just a great investment tool was because I understood. I did the research when I was working on getting my financial license. I did research on the Roth IRA, and one of the key things for me was the Roth IRA has so much flexibility where I could get into real estate. So, and I always knew back when I think I graduated high school, when doing that 2 years that I decided to wait before I went to college, I always wanted to get into real estate. I always wanted to own property. I always wanted to own an apartment complex. So I knew I wanted to get in real estate. I just never knew how I was going to get into real estate. So, but during that time, I started investments. I was, working with individuals as a financial analyst at the time. And by doing that, I started to really see patterns of people and money, relationships and money. So I really was collecting real-time data with application.
Okay.
And I think that's so critical is because I was able to realize firsthand what families was going through, husband and wives was going through, single people was going through. I was able to identify some of the challenges. So one of the things, because I was in the space, I did not want to be a phony.
Right.
So if I was going to talk to people, I want to make sure I had mine straight.
Right.
So that was part of why the financial piece was so critical for me. So I transitioned, got out of debt. I started investing in the IRA, the Roth IRA. And then from there, I used the Roth IRA. I had been investing in it at that time for about 5 to 6 years. And I took that money and used it as a down payment for me to purchase my first home. And that first home was my primary residence. I was able to put 3.5% down. The great thing was I leveraged the Roth IRA because you can take up to what you put in the principal, and there's no early tax penalty. There's no tax penalty. There's no early distribution penalty. There's none of that in a Roth IRA, as long as you take up to what you actually put in. So I leveraged that to get into another asset class. And that's the only time I will ever recommend anybody use one asset to get others' assets. If you're using it for doing anything else, I'm pretty much against it because you pretty much moving yourself backwards.
Right.
but I use it to catapult myself forward. And that's where the transitions happen. So that's how I was able to go from, just working, having debt to getting out of debt, started my entrepreneurship journey through the financial space, taking advantage of the financial vehicles, in this case, the Roth IRA, using the Roth IRA as a down payment to get real estate. And then from there, because once I got my first, that was my primary residence. Then what I also realized was I ran into, which is my mentors now, the Matthews, and I was actually doing I was presenting at a church, talking about finances and money, and I met my mentor today at that event.
Yeah.
So I say, and one of the things that event had opened up my eyes to see is, once you really get focused and you start putting in the work, God is going to bless you and send the right people to help you fulfill your prayers.
That's right.
And I never took that for granted. And what I didn't share, going back just a few minutes, was I was in a car accident the day after I graduated high school, and I ain't supposed to be here, but I've been blessed to be here. Because that car accident, they had to get the jaws of life to get me out the car. And the only thing I got out of the car was a neck abrasion from the seatbelt. So with that, I never took life for granted. So I always, and I think that's part of why I am a worker. I don't like drawing out stuff, because the more you draw it out, the more time you're losing.
Right.
So for me, I just look at all of these things. When I look back at my life, I just think I was just building up to where I am today. And I think every challenge is not a setback, is a setup for something better.
That's right.
And I just took all of that, and through me doing a lot of reading, it allowed me to always have a great attitude, regardless of whatever's going on or whatever's happening.
Right.
Now I'm human like anybody else. Do I have days that I'm just kind of out of it? Yes. I'm not perfect by any means.
Right.
However, I do, but I always try to step back and go back to the strawberry. And I think what I like to just get this point I want people to really hone on in is, we all the same at the end of the day. From the standpoint, life is going to happen. The challenge is, though, you got to now take a step back and say, but how am I going to attack or go through whatever I need to go through so I can get a better outcome? And that's what I think for me, I got good at. I really got good at, regardless of whatever bad happened, I'm going to look at the strawberry at the end of the tunnel, because I want to focus on what I can control. And what I can control, I think when the phrase say, when people say, and in the church, we tend to say, God didn't create no junk. Well, I think that is 100% true. That's why I always keep my heart and my ears open to listen, because I don't know who's going to come in to answer my prayers.
Right.
So I had so many people come into my life that helped me keep catapulting the ball forward. So remember now, the only thing I had coming from where I come from was belief and faith. So I think too many times we can do it in the church setting, but we don't think about, we can use it in every facet of our life. And it's even with me, I'd say, so that's the spiritual being, my financial being. I look at it in my mental being, but also in my physical being. I'm 44. I'm in great health, great blood work. I'm a vegetarian, and I'm not saying this to brag or anything. I'm saying this to say, but this required me to do work. But because I was doing the work and continue with prayer, it helped accelerate, because God delivered.
Absolutely.
And I think too many times we don't do the whole equation. So it's like 1 plus 1 equals 2. But what we tend to forget, we just do the 1, but we forget the plus symbol is in the middle. The plus symbol is work. We have to do something. And then the next 1 comes from our wisdom. And then the equal sign come from the people we're going to meet to help us get to 2. And I think that's where I just got good at. I take all my wins, appreciations, good, bad, and indifferent, and I use it as a building block to get to where I want to go.
Wow, you said so much, and there were so many different points in there. So I hope I can recollect on all of them. I love the 1 + 1 = 2 because even the Bible says, "Go to the ant, you lazy sluggard." So we can't sit at home and talk about our faith. We got faith like a grain of mustard seed, and God is going to pour down things from heaven, and we're not doing anything actionable. We're not executing anything. We're not learning anything. We're not going out trying to make an effort to try to pursue anything different. What's also important to note is that this took time. This wasn't something that just popped up overnight. You started this in your 20s, you're in your 40s now, and there was a series of education, divine connection, mentorship, and things of that nature that all work together to help take you to this moment. When you invest in an IRA or any type of investment, it takes time for that seed of money to grow. It takes time for you to be able to move over and educate yourself in the real estate industry. So these things don't take time. I don't want people to think that, oh, you just went out and got an IRA and then the next year you were able to just, make all these big investments. It takes time and due diligence to do that. You talked about having a mentor, and I think that is very important for anybody that wants to achieve some level of success. Can you talk about how your circle has changed? Because we are the sum total of our closest friends. How has your circle of friends or acquaintances changed? And how has having a mentor in your life made a difference in your level of success?
So the circle has changed because I realized that we didn't have common grounds on directions and where we want to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at my circle now is it's not about anybody's background, it's not about how they look, it's
Mm-hmm.
not about none of that. All this is about is what they're doing right now is it's gonna make them better for their tomorrow. And why is that important? Because that means that they're normally going for something, they're excited about something. It means that I can kind of piggyback off of some of their ideas. It means that they're forward thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not for everybody. I'm
That's
just
not.
saying for my experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why my circle of friends and circle of people is so critical. But also I look for people that's doing something, doing the work, that's not necessarily stagnated.
Mm-hmm.
Because I tried to deal with people that were stagnated, and what I tend to find was it started to pull me backwards because I'm putting more energy in than they are putting in for themselves, and that just doesn't make any sense.
So
So I
break down
came right.
what stagnated is for some people that may not know. Is it more like people that are complacent with that 9 to 5 and banking on that social security check, or just have no more drive or goals? Well, break it down for the people.
So when I say stagnated, it's really just about mindset and are they willing to put forth some effort for a better outcome?
Mm-hmm.
And that could be from a job perspective, that could be from a family perspective, that could be from a spiritual perspective, that could be from any perspective, because I got the reason because I read so much and then working in the financial space with people, you got to really, for me, I really assess where I'm going to spend my time because I rather put my time in someone that's trying and that's willing to do something versus someone to just sit back finding fault in everything that we're doing.
Right.
And then they're not putting forth no effort.
Right.
So when I talk about stagnated, those are the type people I consider stagnated, meaning they're not putting forth any effort, whether it be on the job, whether it be with the family. They just only telling you about the problems, but they never come with any type of solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you talk about solutions and you give them a task, they don't go do anything.
Right.
So stagnated that's what I consider stagnated, because I look at people as just people, but we all have issues, challenges, things that we need resolved with. I got things that I work on. That's why I seek for mentors,
Mm-hmm.
because if I'm deficient in an area, I need
That's
somebody that, or I like to say, already walked the landmine, that I could
mm-hmm.
emulate so I can get through whatever I need to get through.
Right.
And when I found my mentor, see, I think too many times people make finding a mentor hard, but finding a mentor is not hard when you really seeking the heat. But what you
Mm-hmm.
have to identify with, when you do find somebody that you mesh with well, you have some common goals, some common morals, common values. And one of the things is, you don't be a leech to a mentor. You have to bring them value.
Add value. That's right.
You have to add value to them so they'll want to pour more into you. Too
Mm-hmm.
many times we look at mentorship as, let me take, but I ain't
Mm-hmm.
giving nothing back. But you
Right.
forget that that same person, they're giving up some of their time, because
Mm-hmm.
time is the one commodity we're not going to get no do-overs on.
And you won't get it back. That's
So so that ties into why mentorship is important, but also your circle of friends is important also. And I'm not
so.
saying that you need to stop. For example, and this is a challenge that a lot of people have, is when it's their friends and family, particularly their parents or their
Mm-hmm.
brother and sister. This is where it gets really tricky and people don't want to break free. But
Mm-hmm.
I tell you this, you can still love your family, appreciate your family, but you have to know that you got to be important to take care of you, because the question I'm going to ask you is, if you don't have, and medically you cannot do, how are you going to take care of your basic needs? And then my next question is, can you count on that person that you're not willing to delay some time a little bit so you can go build something for yourself, but
Right.
then you have more time to spend with them, but also have yourself solid, you have your foundation solid, so just in case something happened that's unexpected.
That's right. And I
So
think when you talk about like um just stuck and in a certain mindset. You mentioned earlier that you don't watch TV. I'm not a big TV person either. I had a girlfriend come over and she was like, "You're giving me very much 80-year-old vibes. Why don't you have the TV on? Why?" And I'm like, I'm working. I'm trying to learn something. You know, if I'm on YouTube, I'm not trying to find out what happened and what the latest gossip is in Atlanta. I'm not watching the Real Housewives of whoever. I'm
mhm,
trying to figure out and learn how to do something like, for example, we're having a whole banking crisis right now. And African Americans, we're always late. We're always the last ones. Not all of us, not all of us, but I feel like we're late to the scene on a lot of things. So it's important for us to get out of the habit of filling our minds up with something that's always going to entertain us, and find something that you can learn from so that you can get to the next level and accomplish something more, right? So, you talked about, as we observe, we know that you are a successful person. You've accomplished all this stuff. That comes with a lot of discipline, right? And a
mhm.
lot of sacrifice. So I know that there are certain habits and routines that successful people have. Could you share with us kind of some of the things that you do throughout your day? Or, you know, you already said that TV is not one of your daily habits, but just share some of the things that you feel like contribute to your consistency. I know it's hard to stay consistent sometimes, but some of the things that help you and the habits that you've developed to keep you on track.
One is get up early. I think that's a that's a very good indicator of how your day is going to be. I think get up early. Why is getting up early important? Because you have enough time that you can either do self-care from the standpoint of exercise,
Mm-hmm.
meditate, pray. You'll be able to work on the mentals if you get up early
Yes.
and utilize your time wisely. If you sleep in late, you don't really get that time because by the time you get up, you got to start doing something that's
Right. Rush
distracting.
into it. Yeah.
So that's one of the things. I get up early. Another thing is you got to have to read. You got to read or learn something. One of the new things that I'm looking to implement, from even for myself, is, I'm going to create a wins channel, and the wins channel is going to be around, your wins for the week. And one of those mean what new skills or what new have you learned that you did not know the prior week?
Right.
Because it goes back to your conversation of, we like to be entertained
Mm-hmm.
because we don't realize we like to be entertained, but we normally ones being getting entertained on.
Right.
Meaning we normally the butt of the joke, or we normally the ones that we got to keep suffering while everybody else benefit off of our suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for me, that what helps keep me disciplined was going back to the phrase of what my friend said to me, one, and then two, when I look at the news and look at the media and just see how we just continue to we at one point when I first got in the financial space, we was second to the bottom as it came to financial data. Right now, today, we at the bottom, and we going further in the bottom. We going further under the bottom than we are even moving forward.
And you're talking about
And
African Americans, right?
that's correct, African
Mm-hmm.
Americans.
Mm-hmm.
So as it relates to that alone, those are the things that motivate me, because I try to give my all to help whoever want to be helped, to pull up whoever need to be pulled up. I like to say I'm the crab outside of the bucket, and I'm reaching my claw in, throwing people out.
Come on.
The problem is, as I'm reaching over, most people don't want to grab my claws because they thinking I'm up to something when I throw them out,
Right. Like you
because
got
we've
motive.
been conditioned through so much entertainment that
Mm-hmm.
everybody that look like us is bad.
Yeah. So are you trying to get
So
over on them? You're trying to take their money. You're trying to, yeah.
so these are the things that for me is what keeps me motivated, keeps me disciplined. Because and then it's always good when you work with someone and then they at a level of success, and those are the things that gives me joy and allows me to continue to fight. um So getting up early is one.
Mm-hmm.
Reading is one. You got to read. I'm telling you, you have to read. Your mind is a muscle, and you have to exercise the muscle, or the muscle becomes weak. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to read. You don't have to read books. You could listen to books.
Right.
You can read blogs. You can listen to podcasts, but you have to do something that's going to keep your
Help
mind
your mind.
engaged and
That's
allow you
right.
to learn something you did not know before. So that's another thing. Another thing that I do discipline wise is my eating habits. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
vegetarian, so I haven't had no meat in 4.5 years now. I'm talking
Mm.
about no meat, no seafood, no beef, no pork.
And you
Even though I
talking to
stopped
us, you
eating
know
beef
we
and
love
pork
a
over
good
20
lemon
some years
pepper.
ago, but
We love a good
none of
lemon
that.
pepper chicken wing, okay? So
Huh?
we gotta take it slow. I say, you know we love a good lemon pepper flat chicken wing, so you gotta take it slow with us. But we do need to do better with our eating habits. That's right.
Right, but for me, I can say that it, I will say that is one area where I think it's a little bit easier for me to be as disciplined, and that's only because my dad was very stern.
Mm-hmm.
And because he was very stern, it was certain things he taught us at a young age that carried me through. For
Right.
example, he used to make us get up on the weekends early because he said you can't get ahead in the bed. And he used to tell us lazy people sleep in.
Okay.
So those little things I didn't understand then, but I appreciate so much now.
Yeah.
Um,
So
so
we're
it's those.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, go
Well,
ahead.
I wanted you to be able to share. I know that you do, our time always seems to fly by when we're having such good conversations that are so informative, but I wanted you to be able to share. I know you do some one-on-one mentoring. I know that you are developing different programs and things of that nature. Do you have programs that are open right now for people to sign up for? Are you actively taking on mentees?
Right now, no, because I'm actually doing some I'm doing some restructuring because I'm really working on this fund.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do take questions. If somebody have a particular question, they can send me an email and I try to get back to them just to answer their question. My consultations right now is on hold
Okay.
because I just don't have the bandwidth as of right now. And I am mentoring with three individuals. One person just graduated high school. The next person been out of high school 2 years, and then the
Mm.
last gentleman, he's an older gentleman. He's retired, but
Okay.
he still has some life in him. So he wanted to do some. He want to do some things, and he want to start a video production company.
Okay.
So those are some of the things I'm working on the back scene. So my time is very limited.
Mm-hmm.
However, I still can take questions as of right now and not to get too far in the weeds, but just questions where I can, kind of give you somewhere to start, somewhere to go, things of that nature.
Yeah, I think people would want to know, okay, you said get out of debt and you said, start the Roth IRA, but people, if you had one thing that you could give them as a good tip, would it be, what would it be? I'll ask you, what would your tip be to our audience to try to work towards that wealth creation?
All right. So the two tips I would give people is one, learn financial education, and two, go gain more skills. Those will
Mm,
be the two things that I would give people as a takeaway. You have
that's
to get more
awesome.
skills so you can make more income or monetize some of the skills you already have. And now take the extra income, pay off debt. And in the same token, you need to be educated about money.
That's
Why
so
this is
good.
so important is because especially if you have kids, the next generation, you is your job to teach them, is not the school's job.
That's right. That's
And
right.
you can't do it's hard for a parent to teach something they don't know.
That's right. And if they educate themselves and they go out, they get the additional skills that will provide additional resources, which is money for them to be able to do things like that. I mean, I've worked in human resources for a long time and I've seen people get ready to retire, take a huge chunk of their 401k to pay off college. We do some things and make some decisions, pay off college for their children, and make some decisions that aren't as fiscally astute as they should be. So we need to be educating ourselves, and you've been in that financial space. So take the opportunity to reach out to Tim, the intentional millionaire. I'm so thankful that you took the time to come on and share with our viewers about, increasing their knowledge and gaining resources and working towards that $1 million portfolio. If people want to reach you, what's the best way for them to reach you via email?
All right. They can reach me at my email, which is called my email is theintentionalmillionaire@gmail.com. And that's theintentionalmillionaire@gmail.com.
Awesome. He also has a wonderful, wonderful YouTube channel. The Intentional Millionaire is the handle. Run over there. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, click the bell, all that good stuff. He has a ton of information on there on investments, the banking crisis. It's just single mothers and money and all kinds of topics related to finances and money. So if you haven't done so, make sure that you follow the Crystal Clear Convos community. Thank you so much, Tim, for joining us. And we hope that we'll see you soon. Hopefully, our viewers will run over and follow you and take the advice and the information that you've had to offer today to make some changes in their life. So, thank you so much for joining us. To the audience, until next time, take care.